at the end of June. In the fall, Judy was sent on a transport to Germany, to the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, and then to a forced labor camp. She survived a death march and was liberated in May 1945. Judy returned to Hungary briefly and then lived in a displaced persons camp in Germany with her surviving siblings. She immigrated to Canada in 1948 and settled in Montreal and then Toronto. Judy has been an active speaker and Holocaust and human rights educator since the early 1990s, sharing her story, sharing her survival story, and knowledge of the Holocaust with a variety of audiences. In 2001, Judy founded the pioneering website, Women and the Holocaust, which collects testimony, literature, and scholarly material exploring the
A Cry in Unison, Sistering for Survival by Judy Cohen. That year, 1944, everybody came, the believers, the atheists, the Orthodox, the agnostics, women of all descriptions and of every background. We were about 700 women jammed into one long barracks. We were all there, remembering our homes and families on this Yom Kippur, the one holiday that had been observed even in the most assimilated homes. We had asked for and received one candle and one siddur from the couples. Someone lit the candle and a hush fell over the barracks. I can still see the scene. The woman sitting with the lit candles, starting to read Kol Nidre, the opening prayer of Yom Kippur. The couples gave us only 10 minutes while they guarded the two entrances to the barracks to watch out for SS guards who might come around unexpectedly. Practicing Judaism or celebrating any Jewish holiday was forbidden in the Auschwitz-Birkenau death camp. The Nazis knew it would give solace to the prisoners. But this particular year, some of the older women had asked two couples for permission to do something for the eve of Yom Kippur. Most of the couples were brutalized and brutal people, but a few of them remained truly kind. We knew these particular two were approachable. One of the kind couples was a tall, blonde Polish woman, non-Jewish. The other one was a petite, red-headed young Jewish woman from Slovakia. When they had heard that we wanted to do something for Kol Nidre, the red-headed couple was simply amazed that anyone still wanted to pray in the hellhole of Birkenau. "You crazy Hungarian Jews," she exclaimed. "You still believe in this? You still want to do this and here?" Well, incredibly we did, in this place where we felt that instead of asking forgiveness from God, God should be asking forgiveness from us. We all wanted to gather around the woman with the lit candle and siddur. She began to recite the Kol Nidre very slowly so that we could repeat the words if we wanted to. But we didn't. Instead, all of the women burst out in a cry, in unison. Our prayer was the sound of this incredible cry of hundreds of women. I have never heard before or since then such a heart-rending sound. Something was happening to us. It was as if our hearts were bursting.
Okay, are our microphones on? They are, right? Judy, thank you for being here. Thank you so
so much. So, I'm going to speak very loudly. Okay?
Yeah,
so you can hear me. Okay. Yeah.
Is this okay now?
Yeah, I think it's perfect, right? Everyone can hear us? Yeah. So Judy, tell me, what was it like revisiting your words on the page in a recording studio? What was it like reading your memoir?
Oh, well.
Out loud.
The first incentive for me to write the memoir was to leave something behind for my children. What was it like to go through 90 years, now by now 94, with all its trials and tribulations and lovely, loving episodes. That was my first thought. My husband was very ill at the time. He had dementia. I was pretty depressed most of the time. And somehow, writing, thinking back, sort of pleased me, especially in my childhood years, placed me in such a peaceful era. It was a pleasure to write about it, but I only had 15 and a half years with my parents. So it was a personal pleasure to start writing about it, because the very beginning was really happy. Then I had a second incentive. I am a very political person, and I learned through the years, besides my personal experience, I wanted to know more about the Holocaust, which I did. And I came to the conclusion with many other people that everything is political. So was the Holocaust. And it was a political process, I should say. And I wanted to somehow document it in a way. What did that political process, ending up in an unprecedented genocide, meant in the life of one individual, one family, and one community? I know there are many people who wrote their memoirs, and so mine is just one of the many. But every little documentation intended to fight Holocaust denial for right now and for the future. So these were the main motivating factors that I wanted to have a retrospect, what my life was all about through all these decades.
I know everyone's really glad you did.
And that is the reason, and that is the result.
So, I have to ask, I heard that when you were recording your audiobook, you would sometimes add details that weren't written in the actual book while you were recording it. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Well, it is about my life, but as I was writing it, obviously not every little detail is in it.
Right.
But reading it again, if I could have, I would have added the other things that was left out. Not that it matters much, but at that time, it seemed important to me at least to mention it to the two wonderful people who were helping me to record it. And that's how the addition was just verbal at that point.
There are recordings of you recording more of your life that exist somewhere. So maybe they'll release them as part of, I don't know. Anyway. So my last question, Judy, what was more difficult for you, writing the memoir or recording it, and why?
Oh, writing the same hell. But women had a different horror to go through on the way to the gas chamber. And that's different horrors that had to be documented and made people aware. You know, the gender issue still hasn't died, it's very much alive in Canada and all over the world. And it was important for me as a goal post-Holocaust to document as much as I could, and hopefully those who read it, mainly university students, would be inspired to further the research on it and further the knowledge of what happened to women under those terrible conditions. So that gave an additional reason for me to go on living, besides having my children and the family, etc. So it was a many-faceted life. What can I say?
Well, we're on behalf of everyone who's going to read your book and listen to your book.
Yes.
Thank you for writing it.
You're welcome.
And thank you for speaking.
I hope it will help. In this world, we need a lot of help
It will.
to combat all the hate that it still exists, and no end in sight at the moment as far as I'm concerned. But we will, next generations will have to face that battle.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Judy. Judy, please stay here. Stay here. You get the royal seat as as I introduce our next author.
Because I like people to hear my own voice, if possible, in the future. To lead my own voice in my own book was a pleasure, because it is essential for people who are doubting the truth of the whole story of the Holocaust, to realize that here is an actual person speaking who was there. The actual presence of a person who speaks in his own voice gives more credibility to the whole project. Every survivor who writes a book doesn't write it for literary purposes. We know we are not writers. We are tellers of a tale. And we want it to be spread as far and wide as possible, because particularly the denial of the Holocaust and the people who are arguing that it didn't happen, that upsets us a great deal. And so we all want to publicize our talk and our writing. The most amazing thing to me is that at the age of 17, when I came out of the hospital after 6 months after liberation from Dachau, that I was able to abandon my hatred of Germans